A very warm day everyone. This is your Valli addressing from SLVM School Jagapat Nagaram, dealing with the subject English of class 7. And hello children, how are you all? Hope you all are fine. And in the previous video we already discussed a few things about Sushrita. And what are those? A man suddenly knocked at the door of Sushrita. Then Sushrita came out and helped that man and taken some surgical operation to the stranger's nose and taken a leaf and given some wine and the person moans and etc. Few things, lot more things we discussed in the previous video. And in this video, in today's session, we are going to know about few more and lot more the remaining story of the lesson Sushrita, Anansi and plastic surgeon. Okay children, I hope all of you are following and my language is understandable to you guys. Okay children, shall we move on the next topic? Shall we move on? Yes, look here. After banding the cut in the cheek, Sushrita cutted some cheek, a piece of flesh from stranger's cheek, right? Then, after banding the cut in the cheek, he cutted some flesh, meat from cheek, right? Obviously, there is some injury while cutting, so that he banded the cut. And Sushrita cautiously inserted 2 pipes into the stranger's nostrils and transplanted the flesh to the disfigured nose. Obviously, we have nose, right? Nose, we have 2 holes, right? Inhaling and exhaling holes. So that we call them as nostrils. Okay, so Sushrita inserted 2 pipes into the stranger's nostrils. He inserted 2 pipes onto the 2 holes, 2 nostrils, and transplanted the flesh to the disfigured nose. He cutted some flesh, meat from the stranger's cheek, right? So that he transplanted. That means he arranged that flesh to the disfigured nose, molding the flesh into the shape. He arranging that flesh. Look here, I am zooming the pic. Look here, he arranging that flesh. That means taking some perfect figure to the flesh while arranging that flesh into the cheek. Okay, children. Then he is taking that flesh into shape. He dusted the nose with the powdered licorice while making some arrangement, while making some flesh into a perfect shape. He added some powdered licorice. It's a medicine type powder. He is arranging some powder into the nose with red sandalwood. You all know that? Yes, red sandalwood and an extract of Indian barberry. He's taken some red sandalwood and powdered licorice, and these 2 are poured on the disfigured nose, and while using this all, he is trying to figure that disfigured nose. Okay children, he then involved the nose in cotton, sprinkled some refined oil of sesame on it, finally put a bandage. After taking the nose into the shape, he used some cotton and sprinkled, that means a small drops like this, sprinkled some refined oil of sesame refined oil, and finally put a bandage. I hope children up to here you have clear. Next para is before the traveler left. After the surgery, after surgical operation, and he taken some rest, and then before the traveler leave from Sushrita's house, he was given instructions on what to do and what not to do, and a list of medicines and herbs he was to take regularly. Okay, before the traveler left from Sushruta's house, Sushrita given some instructions, some precautions to the stranger that what to do and what not to do, and a list of medicines, some list of medicines. When we go to hospital, the doctors may give some precautions and some medicines, right? Just like that, Sushrita also doing the same. And what he instructed to do, he given some herbs. On the time there is no English medicine, only we have medicinal plants and herbs. So that Sushrita instructed to give some herbs was to take regularly. Was to take regularly. He was also asked to come back after a few weeks to be examined. We have to go hospital for regular or daily checkup after we have a treatment or anything else, right? Just like that, Sushrita also asked that stranger to come after few weeks to examine, to test him. And the next para is, in this manner, in the same way, Sushrita mended a nose some 26 centuries ago. 26 centuries ago. A century in the sense 100 years. So around 260 years ago, Sushrita performed operation on that time. And what he did is not greatly different from what a plastic surgeon would do today. Nowadays, a plastic surgery is a very complicated operation with full of equipment we have today in our modern world. But on the time, we don't have any great medicines and great operation theaters and etc. On that time also, Sushrita performed a very well and great plastic surgery, just like the doctors what we are performing in nowadays. Okay, children? And in fact, Sushrita is today recognized as the father of plastic surgery all over the world. Due to his excellence on plastic surgery, we call him as the father of plastic surgery all over the world. His treatise, his treatments, Sushrita Samhita, has considerable medicinal knowledge of relevance even today. He wrote a book, Sushrita Samhita. We proudly call it as the medicinal knowledge of relevance. We taken that book as a medicinal knowledge. Even today also, we consider that book as a medicinal knowledge. It indicates that India was far ahead of the rest of the world in medicinal knowledge. Not only in India, far ahead. Around all the world, we call the book is a medical knowledge. And born in the 6th century BC, Sushrita was a descendant of Vedic sage Vishwamitra. While he is also born in the 6th century. He born on 6th century before Christ BC. Sushrita was a descendant of the Vedic sage Vishwamitra. He is the son of Vedic sage, the ancient sage Vishwamitra. According to Mahabharata, I explained already about Vishwamitra on first part of this lesson video. He learned surgery and medicine at the feet of Divodasa Dhanvantari in his hermitage at Varanasi. And Vishwamitra has also performed surgeries, just like Sushrita. And medicine at the feet of, he learned this medical field from at the feet of Divodasa Dhanvantari. He learned from Dhanvantari. In his heritage at Varanasi, he learned at Varanasi. Later, he became an authority in not only surgery but also in other branches of the medicine. Of course, we proudly call him as a surgeon, famous plastic surgeon. But also, he is also have specialty on different branches of medicine. I previously said that in first video. He is also very popular in obstetrics, gynecology department and dentist. Next, and He was the first physician to advocate what is today known as the Caesarean operation. Caesarean, Caesarean and also Caesarean. We call this in two ways, and mostly we call it as Caesarean. Okay, he was the first physician to advocate which is today known. He was the first physician. Physician in the sense the doctor who mainly works on physical works, in the sense what we have to take the food in a healthy manner. That's what we call him as physician. He is the first physician to know the Caesarean operation, what we have to take the Caesarean. When we take any Caesarean operation, what we have to eat, that was mainly advised by Sushruta. And he was also an expert in removing urinary stone. He was also expert in removing urinary stones. Nowadays we call it as stones in our kidney. Locating and treating fractures and doing eye operations for cataract. And also he was very famous on treating fractures, treating unjoined bones and doing eye operations of cataract. His suggestion to give wine to the patients about to be operated upon makes him also the father of anesthesia. His suggestion to give wine to the patients. He suggested to give wine to the patients about to the operated upon. That means before doing an operation, before performing an operation, we are giving some wine. Wine, since nowadays we are giving some anesthesia, a medicine to become a patient in a sleep mode. So that's what we called it as anesthesia. So proudly we called him as the father of anesthesia also. Anesthesia is a separate medicinal degree, so that we have some separate category doctors. All the doctors may not perform this anesthesia. There is a special track to develop those anesthesia. Okay children, in this treasure, Sushruta lists 101 types of instrument. While performing operation, Sushruta uses 101 types of instruments. His Samdansa yantras are the first forms of the modern surgeon's spring, forceps and dissection and dressing forceps. He mainly works on Samdansa yantras are the first forms of the modern surgeon spring. Before nowadays we are using some modern instruments, modern equipment to perform operations, right? On the time we have some ancient surgical instruments, and these are the surgical instruments used by Sushruta on the time. Okay, in animals or birds they resemble in shapes. In the shape of animals and in the shape of birds, they use some surgical instruments. For examples, crocodile forceps, some forceps, some clips type we have, and those are in the shape of crocodile mouth. Hawkbill forceps is adopted even today, and nowadays also we are using that crocodile forceps, hawkbill forceps. Okay, and Sushruta was also an excellent teacher. He is also an excellent teacher. He told his pupils that one could become a good physician only if one know both the theory and practice. Okay children, in nowadays while coming into the medical department, we have 4.5 years or 5 years course. First 3 years let them read the theory part, and after the practice session of 1.5 year or 2 years, they are performing some small operations. That's what we call it as theory and practice session. So these theory and practice session was on the time Sushruta explained previously, on that time also. Not only nowadays we are implementing the same manner, right? And these all the stages, all the things was discussed, was at first mainly insisted as by Sushruta. He advised his pupils to use cases and models for practice before surgery. He advised his pupils to use cases, in the sense taking a doll or a or some practice sessions and models of practice before surgery. Okay, children, and this story was adapted from Scientists of India, published by Children's Book Trust, New Delhi. This story was taken from Scientists of India. Okay, children, thank you for watching my video. If you have any doubts, please contact me through WhatsApp. Thank you.